the Flash number 39, aka the Flash 700, written by
Woohoo!
Joshua Williamson, art by Carmine Giandomenico, if I say that properly.
Yeah, he's back.
He's back, yeah, for issue 700. And Joe, I'm going to give this issue credit because I feel like we had obviously these issue 800 and 700s for Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman about a month or so ago. They were a little bit earlier. And I do want to say, none of those issues feel like they made a point of making it feel special because it was a 100th issue. I feel like The Flash actually kind of did. This felt like a kind of notable issue.
Yeah, it felt like a milestone issue.
Yeah, it did.
While also continuing Williamson's story, because it goes back onto some of the things that have happened since Rebirth and even in the Flash's history before. And we get some cool guest spots, which I'm always a fan of in these issues.
And it builds the shit out of Grodd. It really makes him feel big. It's Grodd with Speed Force, which is absolutely terrifying.
Which I like. That was one of the things that I liked that they introduced during Manipul and Buccellado's run in the New 52 was that the gorillas, it's not just the meteorite, but they also kind of worship the Speed Force. And that Grodd, who is supposed to take over as king, feels like Barry has usurped his speed power or his Speed Force power, and that's what draws him to the Flash. And we kind of find out that Grodd's been behind Black Hole this whole time.
Yeah, we find out that the god Rajin, or whatever his name is, he's been working for him. Mina's working for him. The doctor guy gets assassinated in this issue because he was going to talk to whoever. Yeah. So he gets assassinated. Kid Flash and Avery. Yeah.
The Flash from Justice League China.
And they even reference that. He says, "Hey, what are you doing here? Aren't you busy with the Justice League of China?" And she's like, "Oh, no, I got a bit of time off, but I was happy to meet the Justice League." And she references recent events. That's pretty cool.
And she tells Wally, you should really come to China. Like, Flash was just there, and they reference what had happened. Which, anytime they can, put a spotlight on New Superman and the Justice League of China, I'm fine with.
And the first few pages really do a good job of setting the mystery, and it's Grodd monologuing about power and how people worship it, but it's time for the true owners to take it back. So it's all nice build up. But I actually liked the issue because we ended last issue with Barry trying to talk to Iris, and most of this issue is Barry like, "Hey, I want you to forgive me. I want us to be friends again." And what's that going to take? And she's like, "Hey, we'll talk about us, but I need to know everything about the Flash. You need to be honest about everything." And it's him like, "Okay, so I'll tell you how I got my powers." And she's like, "Oh, please, I'm a reporter. I figured as soon as I found out you were the Flash, I put together all the early bits. Yeah, you get struck by lightning in the lab. This happened, blah blah blah." And she's just so we get one page of that. And there's some fun stuff where she's on the Watchtower and he's like, "Hey, this is the Justice League Watchtower." And obviously there's that really great funny line where she's like, "Hey, do you know who Batman and Superman are? Because if you do, you could tell me and I could scoop Lois Lane." And I'm like, "Okay, that was a funny line. I'll give you points for that, Williamson."
Well, I love that Barry too, being like the Boy Scouts, like, those aren't my secrets to tell.
Well, no, that's a good point.
Real.
Yeah, and she can't argue with that because it's not his secrets to tell. I do like the idea though that if she does someday find out that Clark is Superman and that he's married to Lois, she'll be like, "Damn it, my scoop! I thought I was going to scoop her and she's known this whole time."
She's going to be pissed because it's going to feel like, they work together to keep that facade up, and she's going to be like, "Come on, guys. Journalistic integrity."
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I like that, if she says, Lois knows about Superman, well, she does now, but she didn't always. The early days of Superman were always the weird love triangle where she didn't, Yeah,
and I want her to get all caught up on that and go, well, Barry's, and you're not going to say anything, right? So why would it be any different? I like what it sets up there.
Yeah, obviously we like Carmine on the art, but I want to particularly point out the colouring, especially when they're in space. I like how the blues and purples of space kind of contrast with all the reds and yellows.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a really nice contrast. And then it all builds up because eventually Barry's like, "Okay, I'll tell you some more stuff," and he's talking to Iris, and then Grodd's, and it's the same narration boxes we got at the start of the issue.
Yeah.
And obviously we knew Grodd was coming, so I assumed it was Grodd anyway. But Grodd starts talking to him in his head. It's like he can hear his narration because he actually references what Barry was just thinking about. Because Barry says. Yeah. Because Iris is like, "Okay, you need to tell me everything." And Barry does this cool thing in his head where he's like, "Okay, I'll tell you everything, but am I really ready to talk to you about the fact that there's another Wally West and where he comes from? Because I don't even know where he comes from, really. We're still trying to figure that out." So he's just thinking about telling her that, and that's when Grodd comes in and says, "Hey, I know your fears, Barry. Like, you want to tell her this, but she'll never, because the Flash is that's the only thing that makes you interesting. She'll drop you. That's what you're worried about. And I'm like, oh, Grodd's doing his telepath thing. This is exciting. Yeah. And it all kind of builds up. But it's a really cool moment. Again, talking about the coloring, I loved my favorite page of the book. Is probably when Grodd starts talking to him and time slows down and there's all the snow or the rain slowing down around them. Like, I can see this in a kind of movie or in like an episode of the TV show.
Where you have to move the rain out of the way like a curtain. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like he's there and he's like touching the raindrops and he hears like the crack a croom, the lightning across the city. And that's when he runs into, Multiplex is there with Mina, Raijin.
Speed Force Multiplex. Let's not sleep on that.
Oh, true, yeah. Multiplex has Speed Force. Yeah. Speedster Multiplex. That's a very good point, Matt. Thanks for making sure we mentioned that. And then you get the Grodd hand coming in, grabbing him, and we get our big final page of him on his throne saying, he's here for the Speed Force. The Speed Force will finally be mine. My life depends on it. Which is very interesting. My life depends on it. That's a very interesting sentence to end on.
Well, he looks much older than he has before.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if the Speed Force has done something to him to age him.
Yeah.
And if this means we get to go to Gorilla City and meet Salvar and all that stuff, sweet.
That could be good
Domenico drawing more gorillas, I'm fine with.
Yeah, I love this issue. I want to make that clear because I think we've been very positive on Flash. I think typically, but always like, oh no, it's like a consistent B+ book. It's always a B+. Very rarely is it in the A territory. I feel like this issue, this issue was one of the best issues that he's done. And it's capitalising on a lot of stuff that we've been building up to. The stuff with Iris felt important and great. I suppose you could sort of roll your eyes and be cynical and say, well, I mean, she's found out he's the Flash before in previous continuity, but it feels pretty important in this continuity.
Out of all the characters who had their stuff changed, it really affected Barry, like post Flashpoint.
Barry and Superman are the ones who really got shafted. And Superman got a lot of his stuff back because of Rebirth, and we got Lois back with John and all the rest of it. Whereas here Barry was still kind of putting his pieces back together. So yeah, it's nice to have her finding out. It's nice to be getting closer to the Barry and Iris we kind of want. And yeah, obviously we love Grodd as well. But
of course.
I think what I love about this issue though is how it treats it with such weight. It treats like Grodd like this threat. And when Grodd invades on his like thoughts, we feel it as a reader because normally we're the only ones getting their thoughts because we're getting the narration boxes. So having another narration box pop in and reference what the other person just said in his narration box is kind of magical.
It makes him feel it makes him feel omnipotent.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really effective. It works really well. And then the art's great, of course. Like I say, that page with the slow down rain's fantastic. The page with Grodd's hand coming out and grabbing him, fantastic. No, I am oozing praise over this issue. I think this was a great issue. Great issue of Flash.
I agree.
So I'm very excited to see where this arc goes and if they can maintain this upper level of quality. I mean, Tom King got a lot better in Batman as he went along. There's no reason why Williamson can't, also. Yeah,
well, I feel he came out of the gate like, I didn't want to make a speed pun, but he came out of the gate fast, and it was really good early on, and then he had to settle into it and then rebuild it, and that arc with the Rogues where they were stealing stuff concurrently.
That was good.
I really enjoyed that.
That was really good, yeah.
And then the Shadows Realm stuff, and we've gone up and down, and now with Mina as the negative Flash and Multiplex, that he just turned it up to 11. And we'll see where that goes. And we have Avery and Wally teaming up, and I'm sure that's not the last of the team-ups we'll see.
Oh, I'm sure. So I think it's... Yeah, I feel like it's been up and down a little bit early on. Like I say, that Shadow stuff was probably the weakest of the whole run. There was only 2 issues, admittedly, so it's not a big deal.
Exactly.
But I think it's been getting more consistent as it goes, and then it feels like it got consistent, and it's been consistent for a while, because we had Blood Work, you had Negative Flash, you had all this stuff, and then it's ramped up into Grodd for issue 700.
And don't forget Reverse Flash, Professor Zoom, all that stuff too.
Oh yeah. So it's been good. But no, I actually think this might be the best issue of the run so far.
Yeah.
I came out of this feeling really positive. I think this, and then that first issue of that Rogue arc where he's in like what country was it? He was in another country, like stopping this big heist, but it turned out they weren't actually there. I really liked that issue. That was a good issue.